everybody. Welcome to At My Desk. I'm Dr. William Lester, and this is Season 1, Episode 1 of our series. And in case you're wondering what this is all going to be about, it's just going to be me at my desk doing some commentary on things that are of interest to me. And I'm hoping that there may be one or two of you out there who also find these various topics interesting. But today I want to talk about something called Toho films. Now I know probably if you're of a certain age, say under 30, you probably have no idea what Toho films are. But Toho, as far as I know, goes back to the 50s, the early 50s. And it's a Japanese film company. And they have been the creators, the purveyors of the Godzilla line of films and all of the ancillary sequels and productions. Godzilla, of course, kind of being the headlining monster, if you will. Other monsters are like Rodan, Ghidorah, Angulus. And if you're familiar with these films, you kind of recognize some of these names. But, you know, if you're 30 years old, 25 years old, all of your science fiction and fantasy films have been saturated with CGI, okay, which is a very realistic three-dimensional type effect, okay? In the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, these type of technologies were simply not available. And so the way these things were executed was through the use of large, intricate models, miniature models of cities like Tokyo or Yokohama. And they would have an actor in a costume playing the monster. And of course they would rampage through and destroy the city, and there would be lots of fights, and we'd have the miniature tanks rolling along, and you'd have the miniature planes zooming along, and all of these type of things. And look, as kids, we knew that they were miniatures. I mean, it's not like we thought, oh my God, isn't this real? We knew they were miniatures. But this was the state of the art at the time. And this was the acceptable, format or framework in which these things were done. But nevertheless, I've always had an affinity for these things, and I think it's because it goes back to my childhood. These movies were always shown either on Friday nights or on Saturday afternoons. And here in Atlanta, we had a station called WTCG, Channel 17. And this was the channel that was eventually going to turn into TBS. But before Ted Turner owned it, it was WTCG in Atlanta. And the only thing WTCG showed was cartoons, the Braves, the Hawks, and in those days we had a hockey team called the Flames. They showed wrestling, and then they showed movies. That was the sum total of their programming. And there was a program called Friday Night Frights, and it's been so long I can barely remember, but they did have that. And then, of course, they had similar programming on Saturdays. And they would always show monster movies. And, of course, the Toho films were part of the regular rotation of these programs. I gotta light my pipe. They have to refill it. I think it's all burned out, or mostly burned out. But anyway, Friday night, Saturday afternoons were special. The cool thing is that these movies are available today on DVD, so you can see them much better than we saw them 30 years ago, with much better picture quality, much better audio. And here's the thing. With the DVD technology now, you can watch them in the original Japanese and it won't be dubbed. Now, it's perfectly fine to watch the dubbed version because if you're a guy my age, that's certainly what you remember. But you can actually watch them in the original Japanese, have an English subtitle. And I have found that when you watch it in the original Japanese, obviously you get a much more true sense, or a truer sense, of what the writers and directors and producers were trying to convey. I've got this set here, which they call it the Godzilla Collection, but it's a cool box, and inside they have several movies. One of them is the original Japanese version of Godzilla, which, by the way, in Japanese is Gojira. Really cool, black and white, starring Raymond Burr, of course, of Perry Mason fame. You know, this film by itself makes the package worth it, but of course, there's more. The packaging is very handsome, and the DVDs are packaged in these little portfolios like this. This one is All Monsters Attack, which is the Japanese version is 1969, the English dub version 1971, and it's, like I said, it's very cool foil type packaging. So not only is it good movie watching, but they're also collectibles. This is Terror of Mechagodzilla, Japanese version 1975, English dub version 1977. You notice there's always a little lag time between the English version and the Japanese version. This was one of the ones that always made the rounds on TV. Invasion of the Astro Monster. Now, when we saw it, it was under the title of Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, which is really Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. What else do we have in here? This one also made the rounds a lot. Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, original Japanese version 1964, English dub version 65. That one seemed to be on almost every weekend. And then, of course, Mothra, Rodan, etc. But if you're a fan of this, you know, I recommend getting yourself a nice package. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 films in all here, which is a nice selection, and there are many other titles that are available out there in the marketplace. If you don't have any idea what any of this is about, but you may be slightly interested, check it out too, because you may suddenly discover that you are a fan and will be for the rest of your life. But I'm certainly a Toho fan. I have been since I was a kid, and I just wanted to come on today's show, our premiere show, our pilot episode, and share a little bit of that with you. So, I'm Dr. William Lester, and you have been here with me at my desk. See you next time.